Netflix's Cobra Kai is a continuation of the classic 1980s franchise The Karate Kid. Picking up decades after good guy Daniel LaRusso defeated his rival Johnny Lawrence in a karate tournament, we find out Johnny's life hasn't turned out quite the way he wanted it to. Johnny is now living in a rundown apartment and working as a part-time handyman. His wife has left him and he has little relationship with his teenage son Robby. And on top of all of that, Johnny is constantly plagued by ads for Daniel LaRusso's auto dealership, leading to even more resentment that his rival has found such great success. After being fired from his job, Johnny encounters his new teenage neighbor Miguel being attacked by a group of bullies and uses karate to intervene. Miguel is a nerdy outcast at school who is impressed by Johnny's skills and implores him to train him. And so Johnny is inspired to reopen his old Cobra Kai dojo. Cobra Kai quickly recruits more outcasts, including Miguel's friend Lip, nicknamed after a facial scar. The Cobra Kai of Johnny's day was more cutthroat and antagonistic, and while none of the rules of the dojo have changed, Johnny does try to impart on his students more honor than Johnny's old sensei John Kreese ever did. Quickly, the bullied outcast of Cobra Kai are taught not only about karate, but also about camaraderie and confidence. Johnny teaches Lip to flip the narrative about his scar, so he starts styling his hair into a mohawk and starts going by the name Hawk. And Johnny grows even closer to Miguel, forming a relationship similar to Mr. Miyagi and Daniel from the original Karate Kid film. Meanwhile, Johnny's son Robby begins working for Daniel LaRusso at his car dealership. Daniel is unaware that Robby's father is Johnny and takes the teenager under his wing, eventually beginning to mentor him in karate. Of course, when Johnny finds out about all of this, he's furious and the old rivalry between Johnny and Daniel is fully reignited. Complicating things even more is that Daniel's teenage daughter Sam gets involved in a bit of a love triangle with both Miguel and Robby. At the 50th anniversary karate championship, the students of Cobra Kai fight dirty, using similar tactics Johnny's old sensei Kreese had instructed him to use in his original fight against Daniel. Robby also enters the tournament and fights Hawk in the semifinals. Hawk plays dirty and is disqualified after dislocating Robby's shoulder. In the final round, it's Miguel versus Robby. Miguel starts targeting Robby's injured shoulder and eventually wins the fight and therefore the tournament. As his students celebrate, Johnny is actually dismayed to realize he may have corrupted his students and is resolved to do better at imparting wisdom and character. Meanwhile, Daniel takes an injured Robby to the home of his now deceased sensei, Mr. Miyagi. Daniel explains to Robby that he is now going to be opening up his own dojo called Miyagi-Do. As season 1 comes to a close, a drunken Johnny is confronted by his old sensei, Kreese, who praises Johnny for reopening Cobra Kai. In season 2, Johnny agrees to let an apologetic Kreese rejoin Cobra Kai as co-sensei. Johnny is also resolved to do better by his students and his son, although Robby turns down his father's apologies. The Cobra Kai dojo grows more popular, and one of the new students is Tory, who Miguel begins to date. Miguel and Hawk's old friend Demetri tries to join Cobra Kai, but Kreese punches him and Hawk mocks him, causing Demetri to join Miyagi-Do instead. And over at Miyagi-Do, Daniel has asked Robby to move in with him and his family. Daniel also begins training Robby and his daughter Sam, who are now officially dating. When Miguel discovers that Robby is Johnny's son, Johnny explains to him how he failed once as a father, but promises to do better by Miguel. Miguel tries to warn Johnny that Kreese is a bad influence on the students, but Johnny believes that if he deserves a second chance, then so does Kreese. But Kreese might not be worthy of that second chance, as the sensei instructs Hawk to break into the Miyagi-Do dojo and trash the place, even stealing Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor. Daniel, believing Johnny to be responsible, confronts his old rival at the Cobra Kai dojo, which causes many of the students to leave and join Miyagi-Do, fearing that Johnny is a bad guy. The problem is exacerbated when Johnny goes to visit a terminally ill friend. In his absence, Kreese fully takes over Cobra Kai and continues to impart more cutthroat and villainous tactics. Upon his return, Johnny expels Kreese from Cobra Kai, and Miguel fights Hawk, taking back Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor and giving it to Robby to return to its proper place. Johnny and Daniel then begin to bond, and Johnny even confesses his continued feelings for their mutual ex-girlfriend Allie. Johnny also develops feelings for Miguel's mother Carmen, and the two begin to date. At a huge house party, Sam kisses Miguel after realizing he returned Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor. Tory sees the kiss and is saddened by Miguel's betrayal. Robby, unaware that Sam kissed Miguel, takes a drunken Sam over to Gianni's apartment, fearing that Daniel would be upset about their drunken night out. Gianni agrees to let them spend the night, but Daniel finds out and storms over to the apartment, taking Sam and banishing Robby from his home and his dojo. And to make matters worse, at school the next day, Tory announces over the PA system that she saw Miguel and Sam kissing, revealing to Robby that he had been cheated on. Tory and Sam then start a fight that escalates into an entire school brawl. Miguel and Robby begin to fight, and Miguel eventually gains the upper hand. But remembering what Gianni has taught him, he shows Robby mercy. A bitter Robby takes this opportunity to attack Miguel, accidentally knocking Miguel off the balcony, rendering him paralyzed and unconscious. Robby flees the scene, and Miguel is rushed to the hospital. In the aftermath of the fight, Daniel's wife Amanda forces him to shut down Miyagi-Do. Carmen breaks up with Gianni, and the students of Cobra Kai blame him for teaching Miguel to show mercy, so they now follow Kreese as their sensei. In season 3 of Cobra Kai, everyone is still reeling from the aftermath of the massive school fight. Sam begins suffering from PTSD due to her fight with Tory. Miguel is told he may never walk again, and Robby is on the run. Gianni and Daniel temporarily put their differences aside to find Robby, who Daniel turns into the authorities in the hopes of earning him a lesser sentence. Robby feels betrayed by Daniel and now feels resentful of both Daniel and Gianni. In the aftermath of the school fight, Daniel has shut down Miyagi-Do, and his car dealership isn't looking too great either. A rival businessman makes an exclusive deal with Japanese car importer Doyona that could put Daniel out of business. Daniel then travels to Tokyo to try to negotiate a deal, but ultimately fails. Dejected, Daniel decides to go to Mr. Miyagi's hometown of Okinawa, as seen in The Karate Kid Part 2. There, he reconnects with his old flame Kumiko and his former rival Chosen, who both inspire and reinvigorate Daniel. To top it all off, Daniel meets Yuna, the vice president of sales for Doyona, who just so happened to be the young girl he saved from a typhoon in Karate Kid 2. Yuna allows Daniel's dealership to remain partnered with Doyona, and so Daniel returns to America re-inspired and with his business saved. And after talking to his daughter Sam about the trauma she was suffering after her fight with Tory, Daniel imparts some wisdom on his daughter and decides to reopen Miyagi-Do. Meanwhile, Gianni stays by Miguel's side and helps train and rehabilitate him, eventually helping Miguel to walk again. This brings him back closer to Miguel's mother Carmen, just as his high school girlfriend Allie returns to town. Gianni and Allie reconnect, and although they don't rekindle their relationship, Allie further inspires Gianni to stay on his path of redemption. But that's easier said than done, as John Kreese has now fully taken over the Cobra Kai dojo and further poisons the minds of its students. Kreese begins bringing in new members to join Cobra Kai, mostly athletic bullies, and kicks out anyone who objects to his ruthless methods. Throughout the season, the members of Cobra Kai, led by Hawk and Tory, continue to violently antagonize the students of Miyagi-Do. This eventually leads to Hawk breaking the arm of his former best friend Demetri. Further bolstering Cobra Kai is the addition of Robby, who is fresh out of juvie and harboring a lot of bitterness toward Gianni and Daniel for seemingly betraying him. Gianni then starts his own new dojo, Eagle Fang Karate, with Miguel as his first student. When Miguel and Sam rekindle their relationship, they also strike up an alliance between Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do to take down Cobra Kai. When Cobra Kai attacks the newly aligned dojos at Daniel LaRusso's home, Sam conquers her fears and defeats Tory, while Hawk finally has a change of heart and joins his old friends in defeating the bullies. After learning of Cobra Kai's assault on the LaRusso home, Gianni and Daniel confront Kreese, who now has Robby fully on his side. Kreese agrees to leave if Cobra Kai loses the upcoming karate tournament, and then makes a call to his old villainous pal Terry Silver from The Karate Kid Part 3 to join his dojo. And so Gianni and Daniel put aside their differences and merge their dojos, working as co-senseis to train their students to take down Cobra Kai once and for all. In season 4 of Cobra Kai, Daniel and Gianni are still getting used to working as allies after joining together their Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang dojos. Although they are now allies allies and somewhat friends, Gianni and Daniel constantly bicker over differences in teaching styles. And when Daniel begins to grow closer to Miguel, Gianni begins to feel jealous. Further straining Gianni's relationship with his protege Miguel is that he is secretly dating Miguel's mother Carmen. Eventually, Gianni confesses to Miguel that he is dating Carmen and wants to be a good father figure to him, but when he accidentally calls Miguel Robby, things quickly sour. When the newly united John Kreese and Terry Silver of the villainous Cobra Kai dojo confront Gianni and Daniel, they make a point to belittle Gianni playing second fiddle to Daniel, creating further tension in the partnership. With the All-Valley Karate Tournament fast approaching, Daniel suggests that he take over as the main sensei to their students, due to his past history and experience with Terry Silver. Gianni dismisses the idea and instead proposes they fight each other to determine who should lead. When that fight ends in a draw, Gianni and Daniel decide to permanently part ways. Miguel sticks with Gianni and Eagle Fang, but Hawk, Sam, and Demetri stay with Miyagi-Do. Over at Cobra Kai, Robby begins to teach his fellow students everything he learned from his training under Daniel LaRusso, meaning Cobra Kai could use Miyagi-Do's own moves against them. Robby also takes the young middle schooler Keene under his wing, who was being bullied by Daniel's son Anthony. But the more Keene learns from Cobra Kai, the more the bullied kid turns into a bully himself. When former Cobra Kai student Stingray repeatedly asks to rejoin, a drunken Terry severely beats him. When Cobra Kai confronts the students of Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do at a drive-in movie theater, Miguel manages to subdue the rivals without resorting to violence. Humiliated, the students of Cobra Kai take revenge by shaving off Hawk's mohawk. This prompts him to begin going by his real name, Eli. Meanwhile, Amanda LaRusso notices how much Tory has been struggling and tries to help her return to school after being expelled for starting the brawl. This frustrates Amanda's daughter Sam, who still resents Tory for the attack. As Tory continues her training at Cobra Kai, she grows closer to Robby and the two begin to date. At the All-Valley Tournament, the students of Eagle Fang, Miyagi-Do, and Cobra Kai all prepare to win first place. During the skills competition, Cobra Kai comes out victorious. In the boys division, Miguel and Eli face off in the semifinals. Unfortunately, that fight comes to an abrupt end when Miguel pulls a muscle in his back. Eli advances to the finals to fight Robby, although Daniel has noticed the Cobra Kai students were using techniques from Miyagi-Do. Because of this, Daniel encourages Eli to fight using all of the skills he's learned from Miyagi-Do, Eagle Fang, and Cobra Kai, leading Eli to defeating Robby and winning the tournament. Daniel realizes the benefits of merging the fighting styles and once again aligns with Gianni to create their own karate style known as Miyagi Fang. For the final match in the girls division, Daniel and Gianni encourage Sam to use this new Miyagi Fang style in her fight against Tory. Meanwhile, Terry encourages Tory to fight dirty. As Kreese begins to feel that Terry is going too far in his cutthroat teaching, he begins to realize how his own actions affected Gianni and the students. Despite Sam's best efforts, Tory wins the match utilizing illegal moves that the referees never give penalties for. Having won 2 out of the 3 divisions, Cobra Kai are officially named the tournament champions. Following the match, Tory catches Terry bribing the referee to secure her victory. As the season comes to a close, Anthony LaRusso attempts to apologize to Keene, who in turn viciously attacks him before being pulled away by Robby. This prompts Robby to break down to Gianni over his failed attempt at being a mentor, leading the father and son to reconcile. Terry frames Kreese for the attack on Stingray, leading to Kreese's arrest. Miguel then heads to Mexico in search of his biological father, and Daniel recruits his old rival turned ally Chosen to help defeat Cobra Kai once and for all. In Season 5 of Cobra Kai, Terry Silver has fully taken control of the titular dojo and begins expanding the business, opening up new dojos across the city. Daniel and Chosen devise a plan to take down Terry from the inside, leading to Chosen going undercover as a sensei to work in one of Terry's new Cobra Kai dojos. Terry discovers Chosen's ruse and has all of his senseis attack him, whom Chosen then easily defeats. Chosen and Daniel also confront Terry's former student and Daniel's former rival, Mike Barnes, who proves himself to be a changed man who resents Terry's behavior and has turned his life around for the better. Upon discovering that Mike has betrayed him, Terry burns down Mike's business. Terry also recruits a new sensei as his most trusted partner, Kim, and she proves to be an even more brutal and ruthless teacher than him. Together, they teach the Cobra Kai students the Quicksilver method, which involves fighting without honor and trying to intentionally unintentionally harm your opponent. Elsewhere, Miguel finds his biological father Hector in Mexico, who has a new wife and son. Gianni and Robby go on a father-son road trip together to track down Miguel and bring him home. Miguel discovers that his father is a criminal who has no interest in reconnecting, leading an emotional Miguel to turn to Gianni for support as they return to California. Gianni then discovers that Carmen is pregnant with his baby, and he becomes inspired to learn from his mistakes with Robby and become a better father. Gianni also wishes to help Miguel and Robby reconcile their rivalry, and encourages them to use karate to mend their bitterness toward each other. Ultimately, Robby and Miguel reconcile and share in the excitement that they will soon be brothers to Gianni's new baby. Samantha breaks up with Miguel to take time to figure out herself and discover her own goals and aspirations. Robby encourages Tory to leave Cobra Kai and the evil Terry Silver, but Tory refuses, leading to the two breaking up. Secretly, Tory is working with the imprisoned Kreese to take down Terry for good. Tory helps Daniel discover that Terry paid Stingray a large sum of money to lie to the police about Kreese assaulting him. Daniel and Gianni then learn that Terry Silver intends to enter his dojo into Sekai Takai, the most elite karate tournament in the world, to make Cobra Kai a worldwide sensation. Gianni, Daniel, and Chosen train their students to compete in the tournament, and they are aided by Tory, who finally confesses to Sam that Silver had bribed the ref to ensure her victory in their All-Valley tournament match. Tory and Sam finally set aside their differences after Sam discovers that Tory's mother is battling a severe illness. Tory also offers to be a rogue student inside Cobra Kai to feed information to the students of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang. A vengeful Mike Barnes convinces Gianni and Chosen to confront Terry and his senseis in a brutal fight, but Daniel refuses to stoop to Terry's level. Chosen is severely injured in the fight, but Gianni and Mike manage to work together to defeat the senseis. Meanwhile, Tory helps lead the Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang students into the Cobra Kai dojo to obtain footage of Terry admitting to rigging Tory and Sam's fight. Kim and the Cobra Kai students arrive, leading to a massive fight between the three dojos. During the fight, Eli, Demetri, and Anthony manage to acquire the footage and broadcast it to the Cobra Kai students, finally breaking their faith in Terry Silver as their sensei. Instead of joining in Gianni and Chosen's assault, Daniel joins Amanda and Carmen in convincing the remorseful Stingray to reveal to Cobra Kai the truth about Terry assaulting him. As the students all turn their back on Terry, he grows enraged and challenges Daniel to a fight. During the fight, Daniel uses Terry's own Quicksilver method against him, and then defeats him with Mr. Miyagi's signature crane kick. As the season comes to a close, Terry Silver is arrested for his crimes. Daniel and Gianni celebrate their victory, and Robby and Tory and Miguel and Sam all reconcile their romances. But unbeknownst to everyone, John Kreese has faked his own death and escaped prison, preparing for his ultimate and final revenge. In Season 6 of Cobra Kai, the students of Eagle Fang merge with Miyagi-Do to prepare for the Sekai Taikai tournament. Amidst their training, Miguel and Robby help Sam and Tory reconcile their differences and actually become friends. Robby also tries to help his old protege Keene see the error of Cobra Kai's ways under John Kreese and Terry Silver, and instead join the new Miyagi-Do. Although Keene at first refuses, he is later convinced to reconsider by his older brother Sean, who had his own violent history with Robby from their shared time together in juvie, and realizes that Keene needs a positive influence in his life to avoid a similar fate. Meanwhile, Gianni gets a job working at Daniel LaRusso's car dealership in order to better provide for his family and his soon-to-be-born baby. Daniel, Amanda, and Chosen then discover a secret chest hidden in Mr. Miyagi's house, which seems to reveal that decades before meeting and mentoring the young Daniel, Miyagi had assaulted a stranger and stolen their necklace. This dismays Daniel, who can't fathom his former mentor having such a violent secret past. Elsewhere, after the fallout from Silver and Kreese ruining the Cobra Kai dojo legacy, Kim returns to her home in Korea to train a new set of students, though feeling great shame from her honorable grandfather. The escaped prisoner John Kreese then arrives, informing Kim of his intentions to rebuild Cobra Kai and have her students represent the dojo in Sekai Taikai. To earn his place amongst Kim's dojo, her grandfather forces Kreese to recover an ancient family knife known as the Unjangdo from a cave. Kreese overcomes the cave's obstacles, including a venomous cobra, before ultimately succeeding. Sensei of the reformed Cobra Kai once again, Kreese takes the troublemaking student Kwon Jae-sung under his wing and helps him rise to become the dojo's top student. As Sekai Taikai approaches, the students of Miyagi-Do discover that only 6 fighters per dojo are allowed to compete. And so, Co-senseis Daniel and Gianni bring in their old friend Mike Barnes to act as an unbiased judge and help determine which of their students will make the team. Miguel, Robby, Tory, and Sam quickly earn their places in the tournament, leaving Hawk, Demetri, Keene, and former Cobra Kai student Devin competing for the final 2 spots. Ultimately, Demetri beats Hawk and Devin beats Keene, who is disqualified after getting sick. Keene accuses his old rival Anthony LaRusso of sabotaging him for revenge, but secretly it was Devin. Fights are then held to determine team captains, during which Robby defeats Miguel. As Tory and Sam fight to determine the female team captain, Tory emotionally breaks down and reveals that her mother has died. Daniel wants to stop the fight, thinking Tory isn't in the right headspace, but Gianni believes that fighting will serve as a good emotional distraction. Believing that Daniel is just looking for an excuse to place his daughter Sam as team captain, Tory angrily abandons Miyagi-Do. Gianni is furious at Daniel over this and calls out Mr. Miyagi himself for leading a life of lies, resulting in Daniel and Gianni getting into a fight and swearing to leave each other for good after the conclusion of the Sekai Taikai tournament. Ultimately, Sam is named the female team captain, while Hawk is brought in to replace Tory. As Daniel and Gianni bring their Miyagi-Do team to Barcelona to take part in the Sekai Taikai tournament, they are shocked to discover that Kreese is there with his new Cobra Kai team, led by Kwon and a vengeful Tory. Tory asks for a break in her relationship with Robby so they can both focus on the tournament, but this only distracts Robby, leading to tension with the rest of the team who are looking to him as their captain. As Miyagi-Do gets off to a rough start, losing their first several matches, Gianni and Daniel struggle to keep their students motivated. Robby then begins a relationship with rival captain Zara from the Iron Dragon's dojo, sparking jealousy in Tory, while Chosen begins a secret romantic tryst with none other than Kim. Eventually, a remorseful Devin finally confesses the truth, leading Keene to reconcile with Anthony, and then fly to Barcelona to join the Miyagi-Do team to replace her. As Miyagi-Do grows more unified, they begin winning more matches, eventually leading to Robby redeeming himself by defeating Kwon in a fight and securing his team's placement in the Tournament of Champions, alongside rival dojos Cobra Kai, Furia de Pantera, and Iron Dragons. As everyone prepares for the Sekai Taikai finals, Gianni and Daniel discover that the Iron Dragon Sensei Wolf actually works for Terry Silver. Silver had avoided all charges for his various crimes, then moved to Hong Kong and bought the Iron Dragon's dojo in order to defeat and humiliate Miyagi-Do in the Sekai Taikai tournament. And for an even bigger revelation, Terry gives Daniel proof that when Mr. Miyagi fought in Sekai Taikai during his own adolescence, he had violently killed his own opponent during a match. Daniel is devastated by this, completely shifting his view of his honorable mentor. Finally, the Tournament of Champions begins, pitting the final 4 dojos against each other. During a fight between Robby and Iron Dragon student Axel, Robby is knocked into the crowd, where Kwon delivers a cheap shot. When Miguel intervenes to help his friend and teammate, a brawl breaks out between all of the competitors and senseis. Amidst the chaos, Gianni and Daniel team up once again to fight the villainous Sensei Wolf. Tory abandons Cobra Kai to join her old friends in Miyagi-Do, and Kreese sees his opportunity to get revenge against Silver. While trying to attack Silver with his prized dagger, Kreese is disarmed and overpowered. But as Silver prepares to deliver a finishing blow, Gianni intervenes to save his former mentor and rival. Elsewhere, Kwon picks up the dagger to use against Axel, who kicks him away and inadvertently causes the Cobra Kai student to impale himself on the knife and tragically die in front of all of the dojos in attendance and the audience watching the broadcast from across the world. The students of Cobra Kai mourn Kwon's death, which Kreese remorsefully blames himself for. Kim's grandfather wants to repay death for death, furthering the cycle of violence, and so she finally stands against him, killing him and taking over the family dojo for herself in the hopes of reforming it for the better. Elsewhere, despite making great progress at school, Robby and his parents are told that he may not be able to graduate or go to college, upsetting Gianni, who wants a better life for his son than he ever had. As Carmen goes into labor, Gianni marries her in the hospital hospital right before she gives birth to their daughter, Laura. Meanwhile, Terry Silver convinces the Sekai Taikai officials to continue the tournament, despite Kwan's death. Secretly, Silver has only 6 months left to live, and intends to use his dying days to ensure all of his enemies are taken down. And so, training resumes, with Silver encouraging Sensei Wolf to instruct his Iron Dragons to show no mercy. Sam seeks out Tory to train together for their semi-final match against each other, but Tory professes that she has given up on karate for good. Kreese disbands Cobra Kai and returns to Tory, encouraging her to fight in the tournament for herself and her late mother, and offering his support no matter her decision. The Sekai Taikai tournament resumes with a semi-final match between Robby and Axel from the Iron Dragons. Axel fights dirty and purposefully breaks Robby's leg, forcing him to forfeit the match. Despite this loss, Robby takes things in stride, comforted by the love of his father and the hope for a better future. With Kwan dead and Cobra Kai disbanded, there is no one to fight Axel in the finals, meaning he will be declared winner by default. Kreese then apologizes to Gianni for all of his past antagonistic actions, leading to the two emotionally reconciling. Kreese gives Cobra Kai back to Gianni, and Miguel steps up to be the dojo's fighter against Axel in the tournament finals, with both Gianni and Kreese in his corner. Meanwhile, Daniel has a dream of fighting with Mr. Miyagi, learning what his old sensei once learned, that there comes a time when we must stop fighting. And so, when Sam announces her decision to withdraw from the tournament to allow Tory to fight in her place in the final round, Daniel proudly accepts his daughter's wishes and takes on Tory as his student. As the Sekai Taikai finals draw near, Gianni and Daniel come together once again to train their students Miguel and Tory, imparting their combined skills and wisdom. In the finals, Tory faces off against Zara from the Iron Dragons. As Zara gets the upper hand, Robby publicly professes his love for Tory, giving her the motivation to defeat Zara and become the female champion of Sekai Taikai. Silver is furious by this loss, and he and Sensei Wolf encourage Axel to break Miguel's spine in their final fight. As the fight begins, Axel brutally beats down Miguel, but ultimately disobeys his orders to break his opponent's spine to instead finish the fight honorably. Miguel manages to rally, utilizing everything Gianni and Daniel have ever taught him to ultimately defeat Axel and be declared the male champion. Despite Miguel and Tory winning as individual champions, Cobra Kai is still tied with Iron Dragons to be declared the winning dojo, and so Senseis Gianni and Wolf are now set to fight each other. The villainous Silver is willing to do anything to ensure the Iron Dragons win, and so he kidnaps Carmen and Laura to threaten Gianni into throwing the match. But Kreese steps in to fight Silver and save Gianni's family, ultimately sacrificing himself to kill Silver once and for all. In the final fight, Daniel serves as Gianni's sensei, coaching him on how to defeat Wolf. Wolf quickly gets the upper hand on Gianni and wins the first 2 rounds. And so, to encourage Gianni, Daniel leans into Cobra Kai's methods and encourages Gianni to go kick some ass. Inspired by his friend and sensei, Gianni uses the practices of Mr. Miyagi to defeat Wolf and be declared the ultimate Sekai Taikai champion, a win he proudly shares with Daniel. Daniel then learns that the necklace Mr. Miyagi has supposedly violently stolen had actually belonged to his late wife. And so, the young Miyagi confronted the thief to steal it back. Before his death, Mr. Miyagi had willed the necklace to be passed down to his protege Daniel's daughter. And so, Daniel proudly gives the necklace to Sam. Several months later, Gianni and Carmen are now happily raising their family in their new home. Demetri decides to attend college with his best friend Hawk. Robby and Tory are thriving together in their new careers with a sports company. Kim starts her new reform dojo with Chosen by her side, and Miguel supports his girlfriend Sam as she decides to take part in a new program in Okinawa, following in her father's footsteps. In the end, the reformed Cobra Kai is thriving under Johnny's leadership, as he imparts on his students all that he has learned from John Kreese, Daniel LaRusso, and Mr. Miyagi.